5 men went to a basketball game in February 1978. 4 were later found dead. The 5th was never found at all. One of them lived inside that trailer for weeks. It was stocked with food, fuel, and heat. He never lit the fire. The 5th man was never found, not his body, not a single trace of where he went. This is the case of the Yuba County Five. Their car was found abandoned on a mountain road, 70 miles off course. The keys were missing. The men were gone. It wasn't stuck, it wasn't damaged, it still had gas in the tank. Something made 5 grown men walk away from a working car into the snow in the wrong direction entirely. A stranger on that same mountain says he saw them that night. He says he wasn't alone up there either. To understand what happened, you have to start with who they were. Their families didn't call them missing persons. They called them the boys, and they'd known each other for years. In Yuba City, California, the 5 men played on a basketball team called the Gateway Gators, for young men with intellectual disabilities and mental illness. The nonprofit that brought them together, sometimes called Gateway, helped adults with disabilities in Yuba County find steady work, routines, and friendship. Basketball wasn't just a hobby for them. It was where they felt like part of something. Jack Madruga was 30, quiet, careful, fiercely proud of his car, a turquoise 1969 Mercury Montego. Bill Sterling was 29, easygoing and well-liked, close with the younger men in the group. Jackie Hewitt was 24, the youngest of them, and looked up to Bill like an older brother. Ted Wire was 32, known for a big laugh and an even bigger personality. Gary MATHIAS was 25, a Vietnam veteran living with schizophrenia, a condition he managed carefully with daily medication. The next day, all 5 were scheduled to play in a Special Olympics basketball tournament. It mattered to them. Back home, their uniforms were already laid out on their beds, ready for the next morning. But first, there was a college basketball game they didn't want to miss. They piled into Madruga's Mercury and made the 50-mile drive to Chico State together, like they'd done many times before. Chico State was hosting a game that night against UC Davis. It was nothing unusual, just 5 friends out for the evening. None of them had any history of running off, getting lost, or disappearing. That night was about to become the last time anything about their lives made sense. The Chico State game ended like any other. Nothing about the night stood out. On their way out of town, they stopped at a convenience store. Surveillance footage caught them buying snacks and chocolate milk. It is the last confirmed sighting of any of them alive. From the store, they were seen pulling out in the direction of home, toward Yuba City, just as expected. The drive home should have taken them under an hour, on flat roads through the Sacramento Valley. Instead, at some point that night, they went the other way, up into the mountains, away from home. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, they were nearly 70 miles off course. The car sat on the Oroville-Quincy Highway, a seasonal mountain route that all but closes to traffic once winter sets in. It raised an immediate question that's never been answered. Why take a road that wasn't even supposed to be open? That night, none of the five came home. Their families waited, then started calling around, then started to worry. The next morning, all five families reported the men missing. It made no sense to the people who knew them best. These were careful men, creatures of routine, who didn't just vanish. 4 days later, deputies finally found something, but not the men. Jack Madruga's car, his prized turquoise Mercury, was sitting abandoned on a remote dirt road deep in the Plumas National Forest, half buried in snow. It was nowhere near the road home. It was nowhere near anywhere they had reason to be. The car itself was the first strange piece of the puzzle. It wasn't broken down. It wasn't crashed. It had gas in the tank, the doors were unlocked, one window was rolled down, and their snacks from the store had been eaten inside. Investigators believed the car wasn't even seriously stuck, that with 5 men pushing, it could have been freed. And yet, they got out, and they walked, not back toward the highway, but further into the forest. Search teams combed the area for days. Heavy snowpack made it almost impossible to move through the terrain. No footprints held, no trail led anywhere. The mountains simply swallowed whatever answer was out there. Then a local man came forward with an account that investigators still can't fully explain. His name was Joseph Shantz. He said his own car had gotten stuck on that same mountain, that same night. Injured and alone, Shantz says he saw flashlights and heard voices approaching, men's voices and what sounded like a woman and a baby. He called out for help. The voices went silent, and whoever it was never came any closer. 2 hours later, he says he saw the same flashlights again, and still, no one reached him. Shantz was suffering from exposure and severe pain that night. He may have been hallucinating. There's no way to know for certain whether he really saw the 5 men, or a woman and a baby who were never part of this story at all. When Shantz finally recovered enough to walk down for help, Madruga's car was sitting exactly where he remembered seeing the men the night before. It was strange, uncertain, and impossible to confirm, but for months it was the only lead investigators had. Yuba County Sheriff told reporters at the time that they'd searched every place possible. It didn't feel that way to the families. Winter closed in over the search. There was nothing left to do but wait for the snow to melt. For 3 months, the Yuba County Five were simply gone. No bodies, no answers, no trace. In Yuba City, 5 families kept living in that in-between place, not knowing whether to grieve or to keep hoping. Then in June, the snow finally pulled back, and the mountains started giving up what it had been hiding. Motorcyclists riding through the Plumas National Forest were about to make a discovery no one was prepared for. Near a place called Rogers Cow Camp, about 20 miles from where the car had been found, the motorcyclists caught a smell they couldn't ignore. It led them to a small U.S. Forest Service trailer, usually used to house firefighting crews. Empty this time of year. The trailer was supposed to be locked up for the winter. Somehow, they'd gotten inside. Inside, they found the body of Ted Wire, the man known for his big laugh, 32 years old when he vanished. He was wrapped in 8 bed sheets pulled up over his body and head. Only his lower legs were left exposed. Based on his beard growth and how much weight he'd lost, the coroner believed Wire had survived for 8 to 13 weeks. He had lost close to 100 pounds. His feet were frostbitten. His shoes were nowhere in the trailer. The trailer held almost a year's worth of food, fuel, and heat, enough to keep 5 men alive through the whole winter. There were matches, there was firewood, there was a working propane heater. None of it was ever used. One more detail made it stranger still. Investigators found Gary Mathias's own sneakers inside the trailer. Mathias himself was not there. Had he traded shoes with someone in the cold? Had he left the trailer alive, looking for help? No one knows. In the days that followed, searchers found the remains of the other 3 men scattered between the car and the trailer. Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, and Jackie Hewitt were found as skeletal remains, scattered by animals over the months since February. There was too little left to determine how any of them had died. Of the 5th man, Gary Mathias, there was nothing at all. Not bones, not clothing, not a single trace, then or ever. Of the 5, Gary Mathias is the one investigators keep coming back to. He was a Vietnam veteran living with schizophrenia, a condition he managed carefully, day to day, with medication. Whether he had his medication with him that week is something no one has ever definitively confirmed. One theory holds that Mathias, disoriented and separated from the others, simply kept walking after the rest could go no further. It's a theory that fits some of the facts. It does not explain all of them. The other theory points outward, to Joseph Shawn's account of voices in the dark, and to a wristwatch found near the trailer that belonged to none of the 5 men. To this day, no one has ever explained who that watch belonged to or how it got there. Neither theory explains why 5 careful, responsible men left a working car and walked 70 miles in the wrong direction to begin with. 3 different sheriff's departments handled pieces of the case in 3 different counties, and no single agency ever owned the whole investigation. Some true crime researchers have nicknamed it America's Dyatlov Pass, a different mystery on a different continent that also ended with a group who inexplicably fled to their deaths in the snow. Nearly 5 decades later, the disappearance of the Yuba County Five remains officially unsolved. The forest has long since grown back over whatever path they took that night. It never gave up the rest of the story. Ted Wire's family has spent every February since 1978 wondering what those last weeks in that trailer were like for him. For Gary Mathias's family, there was never even a body to bury, only an absence that never closed. Journalist Tony Wright spent years researching the case for his book on the disappearance, and even he admits none of it adds up cleanly. No one was ever arrested, no one ever confessed. Gary Mathias's body was never recovered. The road where the car was found is still there. People still drive it, most of them with no idea what happened nearby. Podcasts and documentary researchers have picked the case apart for decades, chasing the same handful of unanswered questions. Why did 5 careful men on their way home end up 70 miles into the mountains instead? Nobody who was there that night is left to answer it. The mountain is the only one that knows. And somewhere out there, in some version of the story, Gary Mathias is still the one piece the mountain never gave back. The trailer is still there, deep in the Plumas National Forest, exactly where it always was. Ted Weiher survived longer than almost anyone can explain, surrounded by everything he needed to live, and still didn't make it. The detail that haunts investigators most isn't the mystery of how he got there. It's that he never once lit the fire. Whatever happened to the 5 of them started with a wrong turn on a mountain road. Nobody has ever fully explained why they made it. And somewhere beyond where the search ever reached, Gary Mathias has never been found. Not in 1978, and not since. 50 years on, the Yuba County Five remain one of America's strangest unsolved disappearances. 5 friends who vanished on their way home from a basketball game and never made it back. 8 bed sheets, a stocked cabin, a fire that never got lit. That's the detail nobody who studies this case can ever quite let go of. All our research and sources for this case are linked in the description below.